afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this August meeting of the ASCCA Clubs Forum. And I am Susan Jensen, one of the directors, and I would like to present our president, Jennifer Wilcox, who was here a minute ago. There she is. Good morning.
Hello, everyone.
I'd like to open the raffle, and to explain all that to you, I call upon Alex.
Yes, we're testing a new raffle feature. Humanitics is a link there in your chat. And what we're raffling off today is 2 tickets to the ASCCA annual conference on November the 10th. They're worth $30 each. And so I think the raffle is $5. And we will experiment with more raffles. But this is also because we'd like to have some raffles on the day of the conference, which will be in addition to the door prizes that we normally have. And just obviously, you know, not everybody at the conference is going to buy a raffle ticket, so the chances of winning will be very high. And then I'll be using Siri on my phone. We'll have the different numbers of people there, and we'll know, you know, which number corresponds to which person. And then I'll just simply be asking Siri to pick a random number between 1 and, you know, 50 or 100 or whatever it is. And that is how we will determine the winner. And we'll do that a little bit later on today. So if you would like to buy a raffle ticket, there's no obligation, of course. But if you do, I think it's $5. And then at the end of today's presentation, we will draw the winner who will get 2 tickets worth $30 each.
Thank you, Alex. Can I introduce to you now the speakers who will be talking about LifeTimeLine? And this is an amazing facility open to anyone. And I'd like to introduce Melissa Simmons and Kay Harris to talk about LifeTimeLine.
Thanks, Susan. Hi, everyone. Just as a way of introduction, of course, I'm Kay Harris, and Melissa, I work with Melissa on LifeTimeLine. And Melissa hopefully will be able to share a screen in a minute and actually show you the product. But just to give you some background on myself and Mel, Mel and I have worked together probably for about, I want to say 30 years, Mel. I know that dates us somewhat now.
It is about 30, yes.
And we've worked together on a number of projects, and this is one of them. So my background is I'm a librarian by trade. And as if you don't know librarians, we all love history, and we also like to put stuff in order and like to keep stuff in order. Whatever that stuff is, we like to keep it in order. And so in conversations, how this product was brought out in conversations with a friend of mine called Rawdon Nutting, and he's a developer extraordinaire. Him and I were having a chat about our aging parents, and his parents at that stage were in a nursing home, both battling dementia. And so he was struggling with ways that he could actually communicate with them and get some responsiveness out of them. And I have a love for photos, and I have a love for history as well, as does he. And so this LifeTimeLine was born out of the fact that when we think through what we do with our photos and what people do with their photos, and when you think through your memories, what sparks when you think through your life, what sparks your memories? And in my case, and I think in most people's cases, it is actually photos. But as we all know, particularly the older generations like ourselves, all our photos are usually stuck in a shoebox. Anyone, how many people got shoe boxes? Lots, yeah, everyone would have shoe boxes full of photos. And usually they'd be notated at the back or on the top right-hand side or left-hand side with dates, who was in them and all that kind of stuff. What we're trying to do is we're trying to replicate that in an online forum. So if Mel Mel's going through some of, I think, Rawdon's father's timeline now, but if she just goes back to the front of his timeline, I think the whole point of having this as a product is to actually all other, I wouldn't even call them similar products, but other products on the marketplace that detail your history, and you can do your history. You want to know how you can find your history through different online systems. What this does, this actually creates your own life timeline or your own life and how you want it represented, not by who you're related to, not by anything else other than how you want to represent your timeline, your life, sorry. So you can pick and choose what photos you want up there. And you can notate it as, you can explain away any photo as much as you like. This is all about yourself. And what we also want to do with this is actually then create linkages to your family. So Mel probably has, I think, 4 of her family in here now. I only have 2, my mother and myself at this stage. But you can create linkages not only to your family, but to your friends. So Mel has a photo here when she gets to her timeline of me and her together when we're in New York together. And she can tag me in that photo and it will be shown in my timeline. So that's the start of our journey here. So where we currently sit is we are just working with people to publish their timelines. Now, and a lot of people ask us, and this is the photo I was referring to of Mel and I had just run the New York Marathon, I think. And Mel was over there with her family for the first time ever. So, and as you can see, it was in Central Park, I think in November. Yeah, November. So she can notate this and put me in here and tag me, and then this would come up in my timeline as well. So that's the basic product. It's where we came from. Mel can walk you through how to use it. Is there any questions so far, or anyone got any burning questions so far?
Yes, can we open this to everyone now to ask questions of
Absolutely.
Kay? Can I start off by asking what the cost of all this is, please, Kay?
It's free.
That's amazing.
Well, the thing is I'm going to be brutally honest. At the beginning of this was we were working out how to charge for it. But as we've gone along this journey, and particularly through COVID, what we realized is we can't charge people for storing the people's memories. It's not right, and you still own your own imagery, and you own your own story. So no, we don't charge.
So
If you
one
like
question.
Sorry, Alex.
Well, sorry, I was just going to ask the next question. Because people are uploading the photos and you're storing them somewhere, obviously have costs. So
Amazon.
How are you monetizing the service?
We're not monetized. We haven't monetized it yet.
Well, I mean, how are you funding it yourselves? I mean,
I'm funding it.
Right. But yeah, and it's stored at Amazon through, I guess, an S3 bucket or something.
Yeah, we just put it in the bucket. But yeah, no, at the moment, look, we potentially may get funding from somebody generous at some stage. But in terms of we I think it's irresponsible of anyone to actually want to make money out of someone else's memories. I mean,
perhaps people can bequeath something in their will to keep the service going, and help it keep going, because all of these things unfortunately cost money. So, but
absolutely, I mean, look, to be fair, look, the upfront cost of developing the actual application was the biggest cost, which is still sitting there as a technically a loss to the business, but it's all good. I mean, Mel's putting up some beautiful photos now from I think it's John Lee. Is it John's?
It is John, yeah.
John Lee's timeline, and he did his a couple of years ago now, I want to say, Mel. We did a presentation to, I think, I can't remember, another
Paramount House,
yeah. And he got very enthusiastic and spent months and months. And you can, what I really like about these photos are you can see the creases in the photos that make them authentic. I think they look very good. And there's so many good scanning applications these days that can be used to make these photos really sing. I think it's just beautiful. I mean, look at that one. Look at that sheep. Next, any questions? Any?
Are these pictures stored on your own computer, or are they stored in a cloud system?
Yeah, they're stored in the cloud. So via Amazon. Amazon have a cloud system that we store on, and I'd say it's getting up to maybe 70% of cloud consumption is now actually on Amazon computer or Amazon servers. So yeah, we just pay for that storage.
Yeah.
Okay, that's absolutely amazing. And if one can think this as a historical archive, it's very important. Photographs that were taken early as maybe 1915 are there, and we can look back and see what people wore, what vehicles they drove. I think it's of a tremendous value historically, not just for those people who've put their photographs there. And having this free service is just something that everybody should be doing. Thank you so much for talking to us today. I'd like to move now, if we can, to Jennifer Wilcox, who will talk about the ASCCA Business Service. Thank you, Jenny.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to put a bit of a reminder out that the survey that has been compiled by ASCCA and sent out to an awful lot of clubs and organisations that are stakeholders and affiliated is coming to an end, and it finishes this coming Sunday, and there is a prize, and that's drawn on Monday. We decided to put a survey out. Everyone does surveys, I know, but you know, the whole idea is to glean information from the people that ASCCA is connected to, so that we can then formulate their needs and wants and requirements, and better perhaps represent and support all of these people that ASCCA is connected with, rather than we took off all the questions from the membership forms, and rather than have little questions snippets here, there and everywhere. That's why we've pulled it all together into the survey, and it's got algorithms behind so that we can make assessment as to, you know, what direction people would like ASCCA to be and act and support the clubs. So if you're involved at all, please put your keyboard to use and finish off your survey and get it in. We haven't had what I would call an outstanding uptake, so there's still a bit of room for improvement, but the bottom line is, if you don't take advantage of the survey, you can't complain how we do it later on if you haven't had your say. So this is a big chance, and yes, and I thank you in advance for contributing to it and allowing ASCCA to do our job better. Thanks.
Thank you, Jenny. Let's move on now to a conference update. Alex, would you like to talk about that?
Sure. Well, look, we're obviously still in the midst of preparing the conference. We've been lining up various speakers and sponsors, and it's all still in process. We're going to have Nan as our special guest speaker to open the conference, now that she's in that extra part of the senior's life where she's given up her car, and she's getting to another stage of life, and that's a very interesting part. We're all headed in that direction if we make it there. Sadly,
some closer than others, Alex.
Yeah. Well, I always call myself a future senior, but some are seniors who are future seniors, And I know that my father, for example, passed at 68, so he never got a chance to get into that latter stage. But I've got friends who are in their 80s who are enthusiastic computer users, and whilst they have various medical issues, you know, they still love their technology, which is very heartwarming to see. So look, we're still working hard on the conference. We're trying to get different speakers, make it more interactive. We don't want to spoil too many other things at the moment, but we want to make it different to the last couple of years, whilst it's still being an online conference. And that process is proceeding apace. So that's the short version of the update. We're going to have the page open
Alex,
soon. Yeah.
Can you talk about the early bird tickets, please? Because that's rather exciting.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we're going to have an early bird ticket price of $30, same as last year, up until October the 10th. Now, after October the 10th, up until November the 10th, probably in the morning sometime, the ticket price will be $35. So we're trying to encourage as many people as possible to buy a ticket early. There is a link there that Natika just put into the chat, which will also be later on at the ASCCA website if it isn't already there, which allows you to buy those tickets in advance. So, you know, please share that link with all your friends. You know, we will have various prizes that are only possible to be won if you're there on the day. I mean, frankly, you just have to buy a ticket to be able to be in there. Not everyone, you know, people, for example, you know, something will come up at the last minute and they won't be able to be there or be there for the whole thing. Obviously, most people will want to be there for the whole thing because we'll have a lot of different speakers. We will be recording as we normally do, and it will be available on YouTube about a week later or so. But obviously, there's some, you know, there's great door prizes separate to the raffle that we'll have on the day. So please ask everybody that you know to support ASCCA, get a day's worth of learning, which is all about making your digital life safe and fun. We're going to focus on fun, but also focus on safety and a whole stack of cool things you can do with all your different devices and online. I'll obviously be showing some of the cool things. We'll have Charlie Brown, we'll have speakers from Google and NBN and eSafety Commissioner, and that, you know, they will be giving us up-to-the-minute information as we've asked them to please make sure that they're giving, you know, useful, actionable intelligence. So that's the short version of the update.
Yes, and Alex, anybody can attend that conference, can't they?
Anybody,
They don't
yeah.
have to be connected to a club.
That's right. It's open to all. If you've got friends who are, you know, into technology but never came along to the club but would love to learn about the latest for seniors, but also for all age groups. I mean, obviously we have a focus on seniors, but the information is not senior specific unless you're accessing a service that is specifically for seniors. But yeah, anybody of any age can come. You can be anywhere in the world and still attend. You don't have to be in Australia. You just got to be in the, sort of in the right time zone.
Super excited about the conference, and I appreciate all that, because I know that there is a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes that Alex and Natika and Jenny are working on. And it's lovely to get that update and the enthusiasm that's happening behind the scenes there. Can I next call upon Natika to tell us about other NBN updates, please? Natika.
Sure. Thanks, Susan. Yes, so recently, for those people like Jen who are on satellite plans, NBN Co have announced a change in their peak and off-peak time to sort of add a bit of weight to their Sky Muster Plus plans. I know, I think most people that are in this room probably aren't on satellite. You're all in built-up areas, but for those that might be watching later on and wondering if they could actively participate in this on a Zoom link with their limited data on satellite plans, etc., then the answer is yes. So they have now changed their peak and off-peak times. Peak time is now only 4 p.m. till midnight. And with Sky Muster Plus plans, if you are doing anything on the internet between midnight and 4 p.m, that's unmetered altogether. So you can have as many video conferences as you like. You can sit and stream Netflix as much as you like, or ABC iView, or any of those sorts of products. The only time VPN and video streaming counts towards your quota is after 4 p.m. and before midnight each night. So that makes a huge difference for people that are trying to teach children online or run a business online if they're on satellite plans. So if any of your clubs are supporting people in those outer outer areas that only have satellite options, then that's something that I would like for you all to keep in mind so that you can let them know. I think Jen, one of us, posted on our ASCCA Facebook page the other day. So the better internet for rural, regional and remote Australia posted a great graphic that helped to explain it a little bit better, and some of the providers that you can access their Sky Muster Plus plans are listed on the bottom of that. So if you're interested in chasing that up, it's on our Facebook.
Elon Musk's Starlink satellite service. I mean, there's obviously competition there for NBN, which keeps them on their toes and helps them to become more competitive. And that's probably one of the reasons why they're broadening the amount of data that you can get in off-peak times to try and make the satellite service more equal to the services you get in the cities or in areas where you've got, you know, either wireless NBN or wired through fiber cable or phone line or coaxial cable. And the service worked. I mean, we were getting speeds anywhere between 50 megabits up to about 150. There are no download limits on the Starlink service, but it's not available everywhere. Whereas in theory, the Sky Muster service is available everywhere that you can't get a regular service. And probably if you had enough money and you wanted to have a satellite-based backup, you can do that too. I know that I had a friend up in Cairns, I think it was Cyclone Yazi or Cyclone Larry back in the early 2000s. And, you know, trees had knocked down the phone lines and power lines, but they had a backup generator and he had a satellite. Now, this was pre-NBN satellite, but even, you know, he had a satellite dish that could connect to the service that was available at the time. And even though making Skype calls, there was like a delay because of the satellite, you know, having to reach up into the sky, the signals takes a long time to get there. That was the only way he had access to the world. His phone lines were down, his power was down, like from the you know, the city power, but he started up his generator and had a connection. So for some people, they will want to have as many different backups as possible. And it was cool to be able to try the Starlink service. It's a shame it's not sort of consistently 150 or more all the time. It did fluctuate a lot, but you know, it needed no wired connections whatsoever. So there's plenty of choices these days. And in fact, even Mate, is a company called Mate. The website is letsbemates.com.au. I'll just type that in. I've got a new 5G plan, which gives you 60 gigabytes of data, unlimited calls and texts in Australia, unlimited calls and texts to 15 countries, and data banking of up to 500 gigabytes on the Telstra network, or, you know, parts of the Telstra network, basically the Telstra wholesale network. And it's only $40 a month. Now, that's an introductory offer. And I did ask them, how long does this introductory offer last? And they said, well, we haven't got a date to end it yet. But if you're on another provider, I mean, there's Boost and Amazsim, and there's so many different ones, Labara and lots of different ones, this is a pretty good deal. And you get the data banking. So if you don't use, you know, your 20, 30, 40 of your gigabytes of your 60 gigabytes per month, it just, as long as you keep paying that monthly fee, it goes into the next month. And I don't think anyone who goes on the plan will be asked to pay more later. They'll be locked in at that rate. So it's great to see competition in that space. And there are plenty of people who are on wireless, be like a hotspot or something else, and have been doing that for years. And the prices for that keep coming down. So lots of ways to get online. And thank goodness for that.
Thank you, Natika, and the comments from Alex to elaborate on all that. Alex, you're on again, lad. Can you tell us about dual SIM phones? Oh, how do they work? And why would I need to use one? Do enlighten us.
Sure. Now, I don't know if you can still see me, but I'm sharing my screen. And here's a Telstra article about how life is easier with an eSIM. Now, what does an eSIM look like? And I've got an image here. One second. Let me just quickly go through my images here. So this is the one I wanted to show you. So a normal SIM card, and in fact, SIM cards have evolved. There used to be there used to be a credit card size SIM card. I remember that one of the very first phones, a Motorola StarTAC that was digital, it had a SIM card that was the size of a credit card, but it actually had a little small section like this with a little tiny golden bit, which was actually the part that was connecting to the phone. So SIM cards went from the regular size down to the mini size, and then it went to the micro size and this nano size. And I think we may have skipped one of them there, but most of us use nano SIMs. But the eSIM is the SIM that is actually on the motherboard of the phone. And in fact, iPhones are one of the phones that actually has, with iPhone 13 series, you've got dual SIM with either 2 active eSIMs or a nano SIM and an eSIM. So on iPhone 13, and probably some of the other new Samsungs and things, you can actually have 2 SIM cards, eSIM cards. You don't have to have a physical SIM slot at all. A lot of the other phones, though, have 1 eSIM and 1 physical SIM. And if I just turn my camera off for a second, I've got an Android phone here. And if I pop out the little SIM card slot, a lot of the older phones will have this. You can see there's 2 SIM slots there. And then the bigger slot here is for the memory card. Some phones still take that. And so this allows you to put physical SIMs inside your phone. But the eSIM is something that is relatively, well, it's been around for a few years now. And in fact, things like the Apple Watch and the Samsung Watch all come with eSIMs. There's no physical SIM slot anymore. And there's even talk that future phones will get rid of the SIM slot altogether because it improves the waterproofness of the phone. There are fewer ways for water to seep in if it's sitting at the bottom of the sink or toilet for too long or whatever it might be. Normally it's 30 minutes or thereabouts. So eSIMs are very handy if you want to go overseas. I mean, these days international roaming is a lot cheaper than it was before. And if you have a second SIM, you can put that local SIM in, which will often give you lots of data and local calls. And then you can be judicious as to when you turn your physical Australian SIM on or off, and not have to clock up the daily fees. You can also have it so that your Australian SIM is the one that accepts and receives phone calls, but your international SIM in the US or wherever you are is the one where data is coming from. And it just means you only have to carry 1 phone around instead of 2. So, and in Australia, you might have, for example, have a work SIM through Telstra, and then your personal SIM might be one, for example, from Felix Mobile, which is on the Vodafone network. For $35 a month, they give you unlimited calls and text, and they give you unlimited data at 4G, unlimited 4G data at speeds of up to about 20 megabits, with real world speeds of about 5 to 15 megabits, which is better than when you're on Telstra, Optus, or the regular Vodafone, where they speed limit you once you've gone through your allocation down to 1.5 megabits capped speed, which is too slow for high definition video on Netflix or YouTube or iView or anything like that. Good enough for standard definition video, good enough to listen to endless music or radio, and good enough to surf. But if you go to be on that sort of plan, the Felix one gives you unlimited between 5 and 15 or 5 and 20, which is enough for a single user to get plenty of Netflix at full HD. So you might have a work SIM, you might have a personal SIM, you might have 2 personal SIMs, so that in case of an outage, which does happen from time to time, your one phone can be connected to Telstra and Optus or Telstra and Vodafone or whatever it might be. And if something goes wrong, you've got another SIM in your phone. You don't have to find a free payphone, which are all free nowadays. Probably be a long line of people if there's an outage. So dual SIMs are very handy. They're in most phones. There originally a lot of phones had them. If I go back to my desktop here for a second, there were phones that had them as inside the phone itself, but normally that's not the case anymore. And there's even these hybrid dual SIM adapters that you can buy for older phones. But really, if you have a phone that doesn't have dual SIM inside of it, then it's probably time to get a new phone. So that is the short version of dual
Alex,
SIM. Yeah.
Can I kick off the questions here by
Yeah, please.
if every phone company in Australia supports the eSIM?
Telstra, Vodafone and Optus do, and that's important because many of the providers don't. Now, I think Amasim just started offering it, and eventually all MVNOs, which stands for Mobile Virtual Network Operator, will accept them too. But there's been a bit of a pushback from some of the carriers because swapping to eSIMs is very quick and easy. You just go into a store, and instead of getting the little SIM card, there's a QR code that you scan with your phone, and you need to provide your ID, and they'll transfer you across. Now, you can only use an Apple Watch or a Samsung watch and keep the same number as your mobile phone if you're on Vodafone, Telstra, or Optus. That eSIM capability is not yet granted to the mobile virtual network operators. Eventually they will. So like if I want to, if I wanted my mum to be on Felix Mobile, for example, but I also wanted her to have the same number on her Apple Watch so that, if I rang and she's got the phone in a different room, but she's got the watch, the 4G LTE enabled watch on her wrist, it'll ring. It is possible to pay, I think, about $10 a month for a service. I'd have to look it up, but you can have a separate number for your watch. So you can actually use one of the MVNOs and then have a different provider, which is offering unlimited calls and unlimited data. But of course, there's not too much you can surf on your watch. You might be listening to music all the time, but the problem is it has a different number. So for some people, that's perfectly fine. It's a great way to save money. For other people, they will want to get the SIM or eSIM from a carrier that supports it for their wearable. But Telstra, Vodafone and Optus all have it.
Yes. Can we ask the people who are here today if anyone has actually used the eSIM, or either on their watch or in their phone?
Well, it's
that's an overwhelming response.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that, the Apple iPhone, as an example, I mean, some of the phones that come onto the market, the carriers block you from having 2 physical SIM slots. And the iPhone has in China and Hong Kong, it's the only place in the world where you can have 2 physical SIMs inside the iPhone. I've got a picture of it here, where if I just come over to here, 1 second. So this is how it looks like in China. On the top, you can put 1 SIM, and underneath, you can put another SIM. But that is because the Chinese don't want you to have an eSIM. They're probably worried people are going to, I don't know what they're worried about, but you can't have it in China. But in the rest of the world, if you want to have 2 SIMs in your phone, especially if you're going overseas, then you can go to your local Telstra, Vodafone, or Optus shop and ask them to convert your physical SIM into an eSIM. The process takes, 10 minutes or so. They give you a QR code, you scan it. And also, because there's been a phenomenon of hackers who are trying to hijack your phone number, they often will put this onto an eSIM onto the phone that they have got. And then they will be getting all of if they try and do password resets for your email or streaming media or your bank or something else, they often will get the SMS coming through. That's why it's a good idea to not use SMS as a second factor of authentication, but instead use something like Google Authenticator or some other app that your bank or organization wants you to use. Because if somebody does do the SIM card hijacking, they won't be able to get the code via SMS, because you can turn that off in a lot of services. And the ACCC has come out hard against the telcos to say, listen, guys, you really need to, absolutely up the amount of security that you do on these SIM porting or SIM transfers, because there have been several people on Optus, but probably on Telstra and Vodafone too, who've had their identities, their phone numbers stolen. And the first people know about it is it says SOS in the top of their phone, and they can't make any calls. And then they're trying to get a phone to ring Optus or Telstra, whoever it is, to block things and stop things. And often by then it's too late. So eSIMs is much safer. Well, they're safe. The phone companies are making it, they're wanting you to come into stores and send IDs and that sort of thing. Another good reason to make sure your letterbox has a lock on it, and maybe get a PO box so that licenses and other things go to a location that is not so easy for criminals to break into. But yeah, so any other questions?
Today we haven't really got time to hear any more of your tech news, because we've taken up that time talking about eSIMs, but I really want to open that for questions as to does Alex explain that really well to you so that you understand how to do it and when you might need it? And do you have any questions?
Could we use it in Indonesia?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what happens is your phone company, like Vodafone, offers roaming for $5 a day. And that gives you full access to ringing, basically anyone, anywhere. And if you've got 100 gigabytes, you can use that as though you were at home. With Telstra, they're charging you $10 a day for unlimited calls and texts, but they only give you 500 megabytes in a day. And if you go over that, then they charge you $10 and they give you some more that you can use over the space of 31 days. Optus, I think, is something similar, $5 or $10, and they give you a certain amount of data. So if you have that switched on, then you can have that for when you're overseas. If you want to use it, you can always turn that SIM off and send people to voicemail. And if you get a local SIM, whether it's an eSIM or whether it's a physical SIM, as long as you've got space on your phone to put that SIM, you can then have that SIM activated, and then you have an Indonesian number. And in fact, if you've got all your friends, with you or family, and you've all got Indonesian numbers, you just save that Indonesian number into your phone, and you avoid a call, having your Australian SIM on, and you have a voicemail message that you ring up and say, hey, I'm on holiday, my Indonesian number is, plus whatever it is. And otherwise you just text people in advance and, check your voicemails later. But yeah, if a phone has dual SIMs, you can have your Australian SIM if you pay for it, and then have whatever other SIM you want. In the old days, when phones had single SIMs, you either had to take a second phone with you, or you had to pull the SIM card out and plug in the Indonesian SIM, as an example, or American SIM or whatever. And then you've got no access to your Australian SIM until you put the card back in. So, I mean, it's almost a bit like having two steering wheels in a car, although that's not really the best analogy. But it's very handy, and whenever I go overseas, I use it. And, you can even have it on some phones, so that if you've got, like, I've got a Telstra SIM with 180 gig and I have a Vodafone SIM with 100 gig, and you can actually join those two together. So if the data from one is playing up, it'll just seamlessly switch to the other one. And I know that on some Samsung phones, you're able to use the power of your Wi-Fi and the power of your 4G or 5G to actually make your signal stronger. The phones are getting more sophisticated all the time. And
if I can chip in there too, we have tenuous connections in Kununurra for Telstra, especially when there's lots of people in town at the moment, because we've got beautiful dry season weather, and so I also have a Optus SIM, and the Optus eSIM was so easy to sign up for. All I had to do was sign up for an account with Optus, verify my identification in their app, and it downloads the eSIM straight into my phone, and it allows data switching, like Alex just said, so that if the Telstra tower is struggling to keep up, the Optus one will pick up and kick in, so that I'm getting the best of both worlds in there. So that was, but with Telstra, I had to go to the shop to get an eSIM when I updated my phone. So keep your QR code, so that if you do update your phone, you don't have to physically present at a shop to get a new code generated for that.
So you can't do it all online?
Not with Telstra, no. That's a little bit behind.
Well, they also, really want to make sure that the right person is switching it across, because people have lost tens of thousands of dollars by having their mobile phone identity stolen.
Telstra account, and so that's like the Optus one. I've got my security on my Optus account and my app, so I can face recognition in and all that sort of stuff. So I just assumed that's what Telstra could do, but that was wrong. So luckily I was in a spot where I could go and hook my SIM back into my phone, my new handset.
And if you haven't lost your QR code, they'll just generate a new one. The whole process is like 10 or 15 minutes max. You'll probably spend more time in the queue waiting to be served than you will having your eSIM transferred across, depending on how busy the store is that you're visiting.
Yeah, good.
Question, Susan, sorry, can I ask a question? So you're saying it's Optus and Telstra, but what about the other providers that piggyback on those networks? They don't have that yet?
Most of them don't. Vodafone, Optus and Telstra do. I think Amasim recently activated, but I'm not sure. Amasim's owned by Optus now. But and also Felix Mobile, you can switch on an eSIM. So there are certain carriers, usually these mobile virtual network operators are the ones owned directly by the major carriers themselves, where they're allowing this eSIM. Felix Mobile, if you just type it into Google, it comes up, and I saw there, it said, activate via eSIM, do it in a few minutes. And it's something that all MVNOs, all operators will eventually have.
Yeah.
But as I said, the phone company is not too thrilled that you can so easily port your number from one to another without having to go to a store and getting the SIM and filling this out and doing this. Now it's much easier. You can do it all on your phone and transfer across from one provider to another. So you can imagine that the carriers didn't want to rush into that because they don't want you to churn away to somebody else. But the force of customer demand and the fact that the phone companies and the fact that a future iPhone may have no physical SIM slot at all is just pushing them kicking and streaming to this new reality.
Yes. Does that answer your question, Sandra? Yes. Thank you. So it's the
Yes,
three
thank
major
you.
ones. The three major ones are doing it at the moment: Optus, Telstra, and Vodafone, and possibly, as Alex said, are missing maybe.
And definitely Philips Mobile. And you can always go to their website, have a look, and contact them by web chat or text chat or just ring them. But it'll be on their front page if they've got eSIM or not. And if they don't, you'll have to order a SIM or go into a supermarket or a service station and just buy one of the SIMs off the shelf. Yeah,
that's also a factor. Yes. Do we have any other questions on the eSIMs and dual SIMs for phones? Otherwise, we can open it now for anybody to ask any question. Mostly that would be confined to what they want to know about what ASCCA's doing. But if there's none of those sorts of questions, any questions will do. I've got a hand up. Whoa, well done with your reactions, Jeff. Over to you for your question, Jeff.
Yes, I do. Can you use the eSIM to access satellite Wi-Fi? For example, should you be on an international cruise?
Well, usually the eSIM is connecting you to an actual phone network. So, and normally those phone networks are very expensive for roaming internationally. Now, I'm going to fly to America later. I'm going through Hong Kong and Cathay Pacific. They have Wi-Fi on board. It's going to cost me $20 US for the entire flight. And they say that you can actually connect to a mobile network, so you can send and receive SMSs, because you can't do that over Wi-Fi, although you can do iMessage or WhatsApp Messenger or Skype messages or those sort of messages on Wi-Fi. But if you need to send and receive SMS for some reason, then you can, some cruise ships and some planes do have that, but most of them do not. But the ones that do, it's super, super expensive. So you're best off just connecting to the Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi just requires a device that has Wi-Fi. So if you had an iPad, for example, or a laptop that had Wi-Fi and it had no SIM card slot, well, you just connect to the Wi-Fi of the cruise or the plane. Some of them offer it free, some of them make you pay, but you definitely don't need an eSIM to access the Wi-Fi on a cruise ship.
Okay, thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Ralph, your question.
Yeah, to Jenny, I would like to know if you'd received an answer to your survey from Hills Computer Pals.
Off the top of my head, I can't tell you, but I'll certainly check it out. Yes, because I'm just working on numbers today, so not actual names.
I'll just go and have a look for you if you like, Ralph, and get back to you in a minute.
Yeah, well, I can't recall. We've just had a meeting and I can't recall anybody mentioning it.
Right.
I need to.
I'm glad I brought it up.
Well, because I don't know whether I've done it or not.
So, Ralph, you're where? At the Hills.
Computer Pals Hills.
Okay.
Castle Hill in Sydney.
Okay. You have to excuse my knowledge of geography in the eastern states. I'm a West Aussie born and bred and raised. So yes, Senior Beverly Owen has filled that out for you.
Ah, what a good person. Thank you.
Very good, very good. So have a look at Computer Pals Newcastle while you're there.
Do you need the link in there again, folks, or are you good?
Barry copied the link, but he doesn't
might have done the survey.
Yeah, he's not sure.
I will check for you as well then. Stand by.
So before you leave today, it's a good idea if you save the chat and then you've got all the links on your computer for later. If you haven't done that yet, might be a good time just now to do that.
Barry,
Have
you have done it.
Yeah.
Good,
I've got a 3-minute video to show if there's time.
There is time, Alex. Yes, definitely.
Are there any other questions before we do that?
I
Okay.
just want to remind everyone about Be Connected and the Get Online Week grants close today. So if you're thinking of having something happening between the 17th to the 23rd of October for Get Online Week, put your hand up. It's a very quick and easy application. It's about 5 or 6 questions. It's for $1,000. You can use that to generate a bit more interest and bring people in now that we're sort of coming out of COVID, etc. So if anyone wants any help or advice on anything Be Connected, obviously this one's probably a bit late for that, but if you want any advice on any of the other Be Connected grants and so forth, you can get in touch with me. You can get to me through the ASCCA website as well. Thank you.
Okay, so news this week is that Samsung has launched the 4th generation of its folding phones. Now this here is the 3rd generation, and you can see the crease. There's a crease in there. And if I just close this off here, this crease, you can feel it, right? Now, the new version 4, the 4th generations that were just launched a couple of days ago, the crease is still there, but the crease has been decreased. So it's a much shallower crease. Eventually, they'll have folding phones where there's no noticeable crease at all. But the new phones are slightly smaller and lighter with more durable frames, and Corning Gorilla Victus Plus glass, which apparently is an exclusive to these. So let me show you a quick 2-minute and 50-second highlights reel from Samsung. Now, I would recommend that you go to Samsung.com. If I go to youtube.com/Samsung, right? Easy to remember. And when you're there, click on videos, and you'll actually see here there's Magic Creativity, Samsung Smart School, inside Samsung's ultra-thin glass innovation, Unfold Your Bora Purple World, which is one of their favorite colors. Here's the video we're going to look at in a second. The various unboxing videos that are there. There's the partnership with Facebook Meta, the multitasking, how that works on the larger fold, immersive screen. And if you keep scrolling down, here is the 57 minute and 30-second official replay of the full event. But I'm just going to show you the short version. So let me just make sure. Let me just hit stop share. Let me hit share again. Make sure the sound is shared. That should have stayed active. And let me click play. And
this is Unpack. Welcome.
The Galaxy Z Flip 4 brings a whole new world through FlexCam with bolder angles than ever before. The power of nightography. Pixel size increased from 1.4 to 1.8 microns. My cover screen is my hub. The all-new Galaxy Z Flip 4 comes in 4 matte finish shades. Our favorite, Bora Purple. We make changes that strengthen durability too. Introducing Galaxy Z Flip 4 Bespoke Edition. With 5 body colors and 3 frame colors, Galaxy Buds 2 Pro. Our hi-fi 24-bit audio is 256 times more precise and detailed. The brand new Galaxy Watch 5 comes in 2 sizes and 4 colors. You can personalize your watch face. Advanced bioactive sensor
is packed with innovative hardware. It comes with an all-new infrared temperature sensor. Privacy is nothing without strong security. Your Galaxy devices, from the Watch 5 to the Buds 2 Pro, delivers more flexible and unique experiences.
The next evolution of the niche.
The Galaxy Z Fold 4 has arrived.
This newly designed hinge is the slimmest and lightest hinge for our Fold yet.
An incredibly immersive viewing experience. Our new UDC subpixel arrangement is scatter type.
Multitaskers have a lot on our plates. Taskbar on Galaxy Z Fold 4, taking my multitasking experience to another level. This fold comes with a 10-megapixel telelens with 3 times optical zoom and a 50-megapixel wide lens. The fold gives us the freedom to socialize how we want to.
The Galaxy Watch 5 Pro can brave the toughest terrains. Has an all-new route workout experience.
In 30 meters, turn right.
From our latest smartwatches to our foldables and beyond, we're very excited for you to experience all the new devices we're launching this year.
90% of the Galaxy devices include at least one component made of recycled materials, reducing almost 10,000 tons of carbon emissions. Today, life opens up with the Galaxy.
So I would recommend that if you get a chance, watch the longer version of that. And there's also a great video that goes for about 4 or 5 minutes that goes into more detail on the multitasking. These phones are also waterproof. I mean, they were with the 3rd generation as well. And eventually you'll see Apple and others with folding phones. Samsung, not the only one, but Samsung is the most advanced at making these folding displays. And, you know, just the ability to have different things on the different screens. It's very cool. If you're an Android person, then definitely check those out. There are pre-order offers on right now from people like Harvey Norman and Woolworths and all the phone providers. Harvey Norman's expires on Monday. They're really trying to get you to purchase. Also, the prices that you saw were US prices. Now, Samsung has made sure to keep the base level of the phones at the same price as last year. And that's important because we've had a lot of shortages and global, you know, wars and price rises and shipping delays, and people like Samsung are not immune. So, but they've kept the price, at least for the base models, the same. The Z Flip 4 with 256 gig starts at $14.99 for the 128 gig version, $16.49 for the 256 gig version, and $17.29 for the 256 gig model, which lets you choose the different colors. It's the bespoke one where you can have different colors as opposed to the 3 or 4 colors that they have for you to choose from. The Fold starts at $2,499 for the 256 gig version, $2,699 for the 512 gig version, and $2,999 for the 1 terabyte version. The Buds start at $349 for the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro, and the watches I think are, I haven't got the prices in front of me, but they're similar prices to Apple Watches. I mean, it's one starts at $300 or $400, depending whether you want the version without the phone in it, and then the Watch Pro is $700 or $800 if you want the version with Wi-Fi or the one with the cellular. And if possible, always buy the cellular. And of course, don't forget you can get refurbished phones and watches and wearables from Kogan and lots of other places. You can buy, you know, one of these phones, watches with a cellular capability from as little as, you know, a couple of $100. It might be an Apple Watch 3 or a Series 4 as opposed to the latest Series 7 and the newer ones that they have coming too. But you can always get into the ecosystem, and it's like having one of those life alert style pendants where you, you know, if you fall, then it'll ring 000 and a bunch of different friends, which is good to know.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Alex. Can you now do your magic with regards to drawing that raffle number? The amazing number, and our participants are sitting on the edges of their seats, hoping to win a ticket or two for the conference.
Sure. Okay. So we have 3 tickets sold. So I'm just going to say, pick a number between 1 and 3.
The answer is 2.
Well, there you go. Whoever number 2 was, you've won 2 tickets to the 24th Annual Technology Conference for Seniors from ASCCA.
Sandra Keane. Yay. Sandra.
A fraud. What a prize.
I'll have to get a refund on the tickets.
You had
well, you can always donate them to somebody else as well, Sandra and Barry. So up to you.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. We can use those within the club.
You can re-raffle them.
Absolutely. You can re-raffle them. Yeah.
Or lucky draw or whatever. You know.
That's it. Yeah. Well, whatever you want. Whatever's the easiest. Yeah.
You were actually our guinea pigs because we wanted to see that the raffle and the draw aspect worked so that we didn't have egg on our faces on conference day.
But no, we'll try and have.
You might be
Sorry.
guinea pigs for lots of other things that we've got floating around in our head.
Watch out.
Yes, it's always good to do a test run.
Always.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So that comment was to the group, not just to Sandra and Barry. They're not the only guinea pigs.
Oh yeah, we're all guinea pigs, yeah.
We're all involved. Yes.
Yeah.
Nice to be able to practice things. A last minute, 1 minute segment goes to Ralph Warren, who's got his hand up.
Thank you. What's the format of the conference? Is it a Zoom?
Yeah, it's exactly the same as the last couple of years. So you'll be at home in comfort, you know, you'll be able to watch from your phone or tablet or computer. You can easily switch across with Zoom from one device to another if you need to. The presentations will be, you know, normally 15 to 30 minutes each. There's one special one we have going for an hour, but it's of a special nature. You'll find out on the day. But you can be, you know, wandering around, going to the kitchen, going outside and, you know, having a cup of tea in the sun, but you just have your phone or your tablet with you or your laptop, and you can continue watching. We will be recording the sessions and they will be available about a week later. But again, if you're there, if you've got a ticket, whether you're there or not, you're in the lucky draw prize. And, you know, last year we had, and the year before we had, you know, 5 phones to be won. You know, we had 10 copies of special Acronis internet securities and backup software. So we're looking to do similar things this time with the prizes, because they're great prizes. I mean, they'll, you know, the phones are worth several $100s each, and the security software is worth at least a couple of $100, and normally for multiple users. So you can back up multiple devices or protect multiple devices, phones and tablets, or you could do it for your partner or for your kids, etc. So definitely it's a Zoom. There will be some interactive elements, but because COVID is still a thing and because we don't know what's going to happen in November, we just took the safe option. We had great success with the last 2 conferences. We will look to do hybrid ones in the future, which will be both physical and online for those who can't come to Sydney for whatever reason, but that's something we'll worry about next year.
So how
Just a comment before everybody goes, your competitions, creative writing closes in 4 days. So if you haven't put your creative writing entries in yet, do it now. I'd like to, before we go, just thank Melissa and Kay from LifeTimeLine for coming to speak to us today, and for Melissa for staying with us. Excellent. Did anyone else need to do a closing comment before we go?
Just wanted to answer Ralph's question. It's from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. But because you're at home, because you were looking at on your device, and because we don't see your face or hear you unless we've specifically switched the ability for you to come on, you know, you can be having a bath and have the tablet or phone there. You know, you can be doing whatever you want. But the whole conference is it's a day-long thing. But there's a bunch of different segments that are designed to keep your attention and not send you to sleep. So you know, we've done it twice now, and it's been a fabulous. And there's plenty of Zoom conferences online, and you know, it works.
We are working on things to keep you awake. Trust us. So we're looking at how to play bingo while we're watching, and things like Kahoot. So we might have a Kahoot quiz in our next club's forum just to practice and see how easy that is. And what we're going to be doing is asking our speakers to put certain words in their presentations for the bingo and Kahoot. There'll be questions related to each of the presenters that we're going to participate, and then you have to answer the questions, and there'll be prizes for the quickest response, quickest correct responses, etc. So yeah, we're looking, and the raffle too for an extra special prize. So we're hoping that it will be as engaging and stimulating as it can be when we're all stuck at home still. So yeah.
And we might have 2 sessions at the same time, which means we'll be using the breakout rooms. Is that still correct?
We're trying to avoid that just for just to make it simpler, but it's still an open option. We haven't discounted that yet, but we've sort of tried to streamline some of the presenters so that we get short, sharp, you know, 15-minute blocks from them, so they're not droning on for half an hour or longer, and that means we can squeeze in more presenters that way. And so it's still in play.
Okay. Now, just
Get
to
one of
remind
these.
everybody that for the second Friday of each month, we will have a clubs forum, and that's where clubs can come together, hear the news, find out what's going on at ASCCA, and ask us questions. So we'd love to see you again in September for our next meeting. And I really appreciate you all being here. And I'll just ask Jenny to close the meeting for us.
Thanks, Susan. Yes, well, apart from closing the meeting, I'd also like to say thanks very much for everyone's attendance today. And it was really good to see some long stalwarts. Hi, Alan. I saw you pop in there and turn your video on. It's good to see you. So, yeah, what we're hoping to do is spread the word far and wide to have more attendance. But at the moment, at least, we're engaging with our clubs, and that's what it's all about. So there's Jim. He's come back again too. Hi, Jim. So, yeah, it's all very exciting. I think Alex is I mentioned a couple of times I've been engaged with Alex on different things, and I liken him to one of those dolls that you wind the key up at the back, you know, and he just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And he has not proved me wrong again today. I think some of the tech things could be a bit scary for older people, and we might have to take it a little bit more gently. Sometimes it's too over the top, I think. Myself, it's probably how we used to sit and watch TV and look at the Jetsons and wonder how the hell it's ever going, and we've surpassed the Jetsons. And here we are, all of us oldies, trying to absorb this. I sometimes throw my hands up in the air and I think, will someone please give me a recipe and I'll just make a cake. And it's far more simple. But apart from that,
I want a Jetsons car.
Did you see it was actually George Jetson's birthday on the 31st of July, 2022, the other day? How bizarre is that?
I know, yes. But anyway, I think what we're trying to do is have something for everyone, and we're striving to do that. And so spread the word about the survey, and let's see what we can come up with and make ASCCA bigger and better. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks, Jenny.
Bye.
Bye.